Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Weekly Wave. Hope everyone is staying warm and having a good day. We're going to go ahead and get started. I want to remind everyone, though, if you have questions, we'd like you to unmute and just ask them, and we'll be taking questions at the end of each section. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we want to talk about is accountability reporting. Currently, what is open is your chronic absentee medical exemption. And that's going to be closing at the end of the school year on 6/30/2023. So it's open throughout the year. There is webinar training that will be provided through the Office of Accountability this year. You'll get notices through that for that training through GovDelivery. Keep in mind, there's three parts to this that you'll have to have a local exemption committee, one that needs to approve and deny absences based upon your medical exemption. You'll have a site user and a district admin user. So the site user and the district admin user cannot be the same person, because the site user is responsible. They submit the request and upload to the committee's approval. Approved absences and documentation, where the district user is the one that reviews the supporting documentation for each student, and absences to approve or deny the request. So those two cannot be the same people. Next, in accountability reporting, we've got upcoming windows, which right now the conflicts have been turned on for the dropout report. And when they announce it, the window opening, there will be a DVR function you can go in and do for your dropouts. And also today, the report card CVR opens. It's not open yet, but will open today, and it will close on December the 7th. So please make sure you're checking your data to ensure it's correct. Other reporting windows will be announced through GovDelivery. And if you have questions about any of those, you can email accountability@sde.ok.gov. Also, resolving enrollment conflicts for 21-22. It's located on the dropout tab. Students coded as transferring to another school district, if you use 1907, 1908, or 3508, they're going to they'll display as having a conflict and show dropout unless we find another enrollment from a different district, or the exit code is updated in the meantime. So recorded conflicts can be updated using the DVR process. So when that's open, you can go in and do that. Also, a reminder, if a student exited from your district before October 1st of this year and is still showing as a dropout, it means the student's not enrolled in another school district and may be included on the dropout report. There is guidance on how to resolve the conflicts, and I've got a link below. And when we're done with this call, this will be posted on our website, so you can refer back for the links as well. Does anybody have any questions in regards to the accountability reporting or report?
Nancy, this is Terry from Choctaw. I do.
Okay.
Do we need to be worried about the SDN duplications from accountability? I have so many where the student has a different SDN according to accountability than what I have in my SIS, but the child would be listed like 10 times. So I put them all in an email to you guys, and Sydney matched them or picked the one it's supposed to be and told accountability, but they're not falling off of that accountability conflict.
If you've contacted us about them, Terry, don't worry about it. Normally in the past, accountability would actually send those directly to us. And for some reason, I don't know why this year, it's directing you to contact us. So if you've already reached out to us, I wouldn't worry about it if it's not updating in the report.
And the dropout exit code conflicts, we are showing for this school year kids that maybe left 2 weeks ago and we have a records request from the other school, but they're showing up there, does that mean they really didn't enroll?
It could be that they never showed up, or it could be that the new district created a new STN for them. And so it's not able to kind of mesh the two together.
Okay, so how do I fix that?
Um,
Hello, this is Karen Mock. I'm with the accountability office, and just go ahead and, there's an orange box around that. Go ahead and submit. It's a DCR, I think is the abbreviation for that, but click on that and just, in the box, tell us what school the student went to. And if you have contact information for the school, include that number or whatever. But and then we will see if we can get that matched up with the student record. So
I don't see a thing to do DCR. I just get the update to the exit code for a student discontinued schooling. When I go to view that student, it just shows me a calendar and enrollment details. There's no.
It doesn't have an orange box around.
No.
Okay. And
this is for this current year. Maybe it's just for last year that I have to worry about it and not this year.
yeah, it would be for the last year.
Okay. I won't worry about this year's then.
Yeah. Because that student, if it's only been 2 weeks, it may show up.
Okay.
It may
Great.
show up at the other school.
All right. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
Jennifer, does that answer your questions as well? And does anybody else have any other questions about accountability reporting?
I do have a question. This is Jennifer, Nancy.
Okay.
My question is, we experienced, when we were working on class size verification, that if students' STNs and ownership issues weren't resolved, it would impact the populating those reports that we did for October 1st. Does that also hold true for pre-code? If we don't have all of the issues resolved for a student, will they not populate in the accountability list for pre-code to be pulled at the state level for them?
Karen, can you answer that?
I'm sorry, I answered a phone call. What was that question?
The question is, when they're working October 1st, if there's any kind of ownership conflict, it affects their records from actually populating in their report. Is it the same for accountability? If there's any type of ownership, will it keep that, prevent that student from populating in their report?
And for the report for upcoming pre-code that we're working on right now for the Access for ELs.
If I'm understanding the question, yes, the ownership will impact the accountability. But you're working on your English learners right now?
What we're doing is we're preparing for the pre-code window right now that's open for our English learners. And as we go through each site under not just last year, but looking at this year, 2023, my question is, the students that are listed in there with STN conflicts or EL conflicts, must those be resolved first in order for the students' data to populate accurately in accountability? So when OSDE comes in to pull the data on November 28th for the Access for ELs pre-code, will these students populate on that list, or do all of their errors must be resolved first before that date on November 28th?
I was in the meeting last week with the vendor when we were discussing this. And I think it had been settled that it will populate. I'm going, while while we're finishing the wave call, I'm going to see if Will Stuckraft will join us, because he would know this answer for sure and be able to give you a definite answer. So let me see if I can get him to join in.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
Karen, also, there is a district that had an orange box, but it wouldn't allow them to enter the new exit code. Do they need to reach out to accountability?
Yeah. If you will send me their name and number, I have a meeting right after this, but I'll be able to call back this afternoon,
Okay, that'd be
look
fine.
into it. But yeah, send me the district's name and number and person I should contact.
Okay, I can do that.
Thank you.
Linda, I'll get that to her when we're done with this call. Anybody else have any questions about accountability reporting? If not, I'm going to move on. Okay, next topic, everyone's favorite, PBT. I'm not sure how many people have already watched or signed up for the training and gone through the training. It is available at the link on the slide. You don't have to have an account. If you don't have an account for SDE Canvas, you'll need to create one, and you can do that by using the link. Your email will have to be validated, and you'll have to set up login credentials and be enrolled in the actual PEBT course. So hope everyone has taken the opportunity to do that. The training is really, it's nicely done. It's broken into different modules. There's in-depth training to understand PBT and gives you scenarios to learn how to evaluate if a student qualifies. There are modules for the DVR process towards the end of the module or the end of the training. There's PDF documentation in the last module. And it's easy because if you need to, you're able to start it and stop it and return at any time. And you just return to the link, access Canvas to the menu, and locate the enrolled training, and it'll take you back in where you left. And this is kind of how you'll get to it. You go to the Canvas part, and then there's what your dashboard will look like. You should have started receiving those spreadsheets last week, and June, I guess, provided to some examples and practices for a district perspective last week. I should have updated that. Sorry about that. Also, there's going to be, we already had this training. Boy, I am behind times on this. This should not be in here. We had that student accounting consortium, and they went through it, and it was really good. I hope everyone was able to attend. So does anybody have any questions about PEBT?
Nancy, this is Terry from Choctaw. We do.
Okay.
As we've worked through all of our parent claims, it was our understanding we are only correcting 2021, correct?
That is correct.
Because half of the parent claims have to deal with 21, 22, or all 3 years, or both summers plus 2 years, or.
Well, right now we're just doing 2021, and we will, once that's done, then we'll move into the 2022 year. So I'm not sure, it's going to open later this year. So just hang on to that spreadsheet. And then when we've opened that window, you'll go back and you can refer to that spreadsheet for the next year.
Okay, so we won't get a different spreadsheet or anything like that.
I'm not going to say yes or no on that.
Okay.
It's June is answering. She said she thinks there's a different one for 2022. What's the deadline for the 2021 corrections? I think, didn't we, June, set that to the end of January? Yeah, it's the end of January. Okay, anybody else? Okay, We're gonna move on if no one has any more questions about PEBT. Terry, have you been able to go in and do your DVRs?
Yes, we've done all of them for the 2021.
Okay, great, thanks.
The weirdest thing though, Nancy, that we found for our kids that were 100% virtual for the entire school year
Uh-huh,
and were not absent at all, they should get 165 days because that's what our calendar is.
uh-huh.
Accountability give all of them 163. It's
Well-
like, and everyone else that maybe had 2 absences or whatever, basically they thought our calendar, it looks like as 163, but when you go into accountability, it shows our calendar as 165. It shows the kids' membership as 165, but they only give them 163,
What school year is this for?
2021.
2021.
And when you look at your calendar, is it actually indicating that you have that many days?
Yes.
Go ahead and send an email to me and let me take a look at that.
Who is this? I'm sorry.
This
It's-
is June.
June.
Okay.
I
June,
mean, I
June.
don't know anything about this PBT, but is it because there's 2 parent teacher days in those days taught? And they get membership for it and they're not at school?
Oh, that's very likely.
But they get attendance counts for those 2 days. Did you have that set correctly in your
Yeah.
calendar? So those 2 parent teacher conference days were instructional days?
We do.
Okay,
And it's not just our 100% virtual kids. Say we had a kid that wasn't virtual, but they had their DVPs. It's like accountability just subtracted 2 from everybody's total. It's really odd.
okay, send it, make sure you tell me which school and district that is, and I'll go in and take a look at those
Okay.
calendars in that particular report.
Well, we've already submitted all our DVRs on them. Do we need to mess with it anymore or?
I mean, that's really up to you. If that's something that needs to be corrected. I mean, if you want me to take a look at it, you'll need to send it to me.
Okay, thanks, June.
You're welcome.
Okay, anybody have any other questions?
Nancy, Will has joined us. So
Okay,
if you can repeat that question so that he can give us some clarification.
okay, let me go back and find it. Okay, was this the question about? Okay,
The ownership
the
question.
ownership. So right now, like in our reports, Will, if there's an ownership error, you know, it makes that student not go on to their report. Is that the same scenario that would happen in your accountability reporting? If there's any kind of outstanding error, will it keep that student from going on to, it was the pre-code?
I don't believe so. I mean, if I could get an example and look at it within our app, I might be able to have a better answer. But those ownership conflicts, it'll probably populate a test for both sites if there's a conflict.
Okay, if you, whoever asked that question, I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was. If you'll put an example in the chat, we'll take a look at it and see if he can find out whether it will prevent it from being on that pre-code.
I think it was Choctaw, and then Jennifer Hope also said that they were having that issue, I
Okay.
think.
It wasn't Choctaw.
Okay.
But Jennifer, was that you?
Yes, it was. And,
Okay.
and so, no, the question is, yeah, just to make sure is if we don't have the STN issue resolved or an ownership issue resolved, will it prevent these children from populating the accountability list where they're going to pull the pre-code for the Access for ELs test? And or also, let me add in a student with an EL conflict. So do we need all of those resolved first before November 28th in order to ensure
The EL
that
kids,
population-
yes. If there is an STN issue, then that's going to populate within our tables, and that's how we pull the data for pre-code. So are you saying the student has 2 STNs or?
Well, we have, as I review over our district at all of our sites, we have a variety of issues. We have students with STN conflicts. We have students with ownership. We have students with EL conflicts. And so my question is, do we need to have all of those resolved by November 28th when the OELP office is going to pull the data for pre-code for the Access for ELs test?
Yes, the EL conflicts should be resolved. The STN conflicts could hopefully be resolved by then as well. If there are any outstanding like issues, this isn't kind of a final thing. So if there is an issue that kind of pops up after the pre-code window, you can go within DRC and change stuff with the student. But
will it
kind of the
suppress?
pre-code window is to correct all of the like EL conflicts and STN issues with those kids, so we can get it sorted out and send the correct test materials to DRC.
Yes, and so, but will, like we had mentioned in the previous reports, will it prevent them from populating that pre-code list if we don't have, if they're not cleared up in time?
No, but the data will probably be incorrect.
Okay, I see. So, I mean, we're doing everything we can to get all of those errors correct for those, for the pre-code to make sure it is accurate.
Okay, great. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me with like specific issues, and I can definitely help out.
Okay, could you put your email, name and email in the chat?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, everyone. Also, June just put the student accounting consortium link to the recorded training that we did in the chat as well. So if you want to go back and listen to that, if you weren't able to attend, I highly recommend that you do that. Okay, if no one else has any questions about PEBT, we're going to move on. Next one is FQSR. It is open still. We've got quite a few districts that have already certified and are done. But it's going to close on 11/30. So if you're not one of the districts, you still got yours open, then I encourage you to focus on it and reach out to state aid if you've got questions. Your report is actually due no later than 10 days of the end of your first 9 weeks or prior to your RAO visit. You know, if you're still open, you need to be looking at calendar errors or issues, professional days, parent-teacher conference, check your membership and transportation. Your transportation actually pulls from your student attendance summary. So if there's an issue there, then you need to look at the student attendance summary to make corrections. Also, be sure you're checking find missing students. And I know Lori's on here and she wanted to add some stuff as well too.
Yeah, I wanted to say, so we have about 50 that are still out. I think it's kind of a fluctuating number because they keep on getting open because they were certified with numbers not matching. But it's pretty much 50, which is to me, very, very good. I think this reporting season has gone well. I mean, y'all might not think so, but to me, I felt like I had it. Didn't get overwhelmed. We did fix the ownership conflict that was throwing them into find missing students if the student enrolled today or, you know, after your first 9 weeks. I know that caused a lot of pain for a lot of people, and we apologize for that. We know for sure that whenever it's certified that it's not going to throw them into find missing students. I was told that it doesn't fix it before you certify, but I'm not totally, I don't totally believe that. And we had to have a backup programmer do it. So it was someone who was unfamiliar, and we're waiting for the regular program to like look deeper into it. But if you have any problems with that, please let me know. And we will look harder at it. The other thing I want to mention that keeps on coming up, and since we had this ownership problem, throwing in after the first 9 weeks. We have several districts, like I think, how many did you say? Up to about 500, Nancy?
Yes. Well, no, not districts. We have that many
Kids.
individual kids.
Okay,
yes.
so we have about 500 students who are already being enrolled for future dates. So some in January, some probably not next week, but after, the Monday after Thanksgiving, sometime in December. And we really need you guys to stop that practice because it's throwing things into ownership and it's causing conflicts with other districts. You can put those kids into, don't report, what is it called? I know I'm not the right person to talk.
State exclude.
State exclude.
If your vendor offers that option, I mean, what I would recommend is if you feel like you have to put it in now, you need to mark that child as state exclude and follow up on the date. I'd make a spreadsheet with students' names and dates, and I would follow up to make sure that student actually attended class when they said they were supposed to start. And then you can uncheck that state exclude box, depending on the vendor. I'm just familiar with one vendor at this point. And then it will begin reporting to the state. But early enrollments cause issues.
This is Dina from Moore. I just have a quick question on that. Like, we have kids that will go from our virtual academy back to brick and mortar or vice versa. Some of that has to do with kids who are suspended that have gone to virtual and whatever. So when it's within your own building and their start and end dates, so let's say like that a kid's going to come off of virtual at Christmas and then go brick and mortar. Well, there's an end date of the, January, I don't have my calendar in front of me, let's say 6th, and then a start date of January 7th for the other enrollment. Why would that be causing, because it is, why would that cause an error?
It shouldn't cause a conflict.
Okay. Because I think they caught a couple, I haven't looked deep into it, Nancy, but someone in the office said that was causing a problem. And I told them not to change it because we're going to do more damage to kids. Like, that is a lot of kids that with scheduling, that it is best for the student and best to make sure that they're in the right schedule for next semester. If a high school counselor tried to do all of that in that one records day, like foreseeably, I don't think we would get it done and stuff would get missed on kids.
Well, just so you know, fortunately, your district is one that can state exclude a kid right now. You can put your stuff in, state exclude them on the day they're supposed to start. Just uncheck that box.
But will the error not just fall off when we hit January the 7th or whatever? Like, I don't understand why there'd be an error now, but I'll look at one, Nancy, and I'll send it to you.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions about the FQSR or the early enrollments that Lori discussed? Okay.
Nancy, in our district, we've discovered, we've used the exclude from state reporting button on, like with our D3 students, when they enroll temporarily until they're determined if they qualify for IEP services or not. But then we find if we start doing that, then we've had to go in and put a whole process in place of submitting tickets to our IT department to make sure then that they're turned back on, because in larger districts that can be really cumbersome. We only have one person in our district that we allow to do that because it was causing such an issue for us in the past. Just something to think about with saying the excluding, because we do have students that enroll early and we do have these errors happening, but to exclude them and then to go and turn that button back on could be a hindrance for people, because we've had to limit access because it was being used overly too much and providing inaccurate reporting for our kids.
Yeah, but I think the issue is that the state statutes say the student should not be enrolled until they're walk into your district or to the classroom.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I'm not doubting
No,
that. was
I
just-
understand what you're saying, that the state exclude could be causing an issue. So, I mean, we've got to figure out a way to, I mean, if it's something that, and I understand the volume of work it is,
Mhm.
especially Christmas to the next semester. I do understand that. But if there's ways to circumvent that data from coming to the state, we need to try to do that. So, I mean, we can work together and see if there's a way that we can figure out where it doesn't come to us and it doesn't cause you issues on your end. But I think it depends on the vendor too.
Okay, and I think, Nancy, what we can do, we can look at it on our side too, to
Okay,
see what we can do to help avoid those errors as well.
that sounds good.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to say that if you guys have any suggestions on making the FQSR or the ASR, because they're kind of hand in hand, better, to make sure you send them to us and we can get those, we can try to get those implemented. Sometimes we can't do what's asked, but if you can think of anything that make it better, if we add a new column or, I don't know, I can't think of anything right now.
Thanks, Lori. Yeah, we do want your input on it, on everything that we can. I mean, our goal is to make things easier for you. So if you have suggestions on October 1st or just whatever we're doing, it doesn't hurt to provide input on that, and I would encourage it. Okay, I'm going to move on. We're about close to wrapping up. So requesting state assistance. This is like a broken record sometimes. Just provide your name and phone number on your request, and make sure you're just sending us your student testing number or state testing number, local ID only. We don't need the student's name or date of birth in your email, and that includes emails that you're sending to our student data info email box, or group text or chats, or our personal email boxes. We just want to make sure we're, keeping that personal information personal, so and private. So please just send us your local ID or your state testing number. Wave, creating new Wave accounts. If you've got new people joining your district that need access to the Wave, your superintendent has to provide them the access first through the single sign-on. Then the employee needs to make a request for an affiliate's log-on at OMES. And I would always request that Matthew Johnston is assigned to that ticket. He's the one that does that process. And it can take up to 42 hours for the access to show up. So, please make sure as soon as the employee starts and they're going to need that, I would request it as soon as possible. Also, if you're having just access for you're on your own, accessing the Wave, you want to go into your single sign-on, click the Wave box, log in with your affiliate's credentials, and most of the time it's going to take you to a Microsoft page. You're going to use the same login information. Then if you don't know your password, click forget password or forgot password, and the system's going to email you a temporary password, and you'll have to change it when you get that. If it doesn't work, then your only option is going to be to reach out to the service desk at omes.ok.gov. And always remember, if you have questions, you can email us at studentdatainfo@sde.ok.gov, or we have tons of information on the Oklahoma State Department of Education website under student information, documents, and guidance. Just be sure that you're emailing us if you have questions. Other than that, I don't have anything else. I do see a couple more questions. She wanted to go back, Teresa wants to go back to the enrollment conflict report. Was there an issue? If there isn't an option to resolve a enrollment conflict on the dropout window, there isn't an orange box. Are you look around the exit codes for me to create a DVR? Are you looking at this year's Teresa, are last year's. Because you should be working last year's, not this year's. And Jennifer Black is, which link isn't working, Jennifer?
I was trying to put in the link that you sent to do the PEBT training.
On the Student Accounting Consortium? I'll check into that and I'll send it to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Margaret, you're having issues with the orange box. Just making sure you're looking at last year's, not this year's. And so Teresa, you need to use 2021 instead of 2022. Christy is, yes,
That would be 2022. Because this is 2023, so last year is 2022.
you're right, sorry.
Just making sure, I'm like, we have all these years going on with PEBT and stuff. I'm like, wait a
I know,
minute,
it's kind of confusing.
what year is it?
Last year's, okay. Karen, are you still on?
I am.
So they're having issues with last year's DVR window. Oh, the DVR window's not, is it open yet for?
For 22 graduates.
Well, it's the enrollment conflict report. It's not open yet.
No,
That's why you're getting that. So right now, you're able to go in and you can't do the DVR yet. Let me go back to that slide. So right now, conflicts have been turned on for the dropout report. And once the report's open, there'll be a DVR function. So maybe that's the issue. And once it's open, you're going to get a notification on the Gov delivery. And Margaret's is the dropout report. I don't believe that's open yet either.
no.
For the DVR is not open for dropout. You can just do, look at your conflicts.
That is all that can be done right now for dropouts is the conflicts.
Have
And
they identified a date yet, if when it's going to be open yet?
that actually, we're just waiting for confirmation from the vendor. I mean, we've been ready. We have everything ready to send out to the districts. We're just waiting for the thumbs up from the vendor that everything's good to go on their end. So we had actually thought it would be open by now. So I would say probably by the end of November. Sometime between now and the end of November, we should be opening up. We're
So-
pushing for as soon as possible.
So you can't do a DVR right now. So you can't go in and enter a correct status, exit status yet.
No, ma'am.
No, Linda, you can't do that yet. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.